Good evening, race fans. Welcome to CRN's live coverage of the CORE Xfinity Series presented by SimRaces.com. We are here at the Echo Park Speedway, formerly known as Atlanta Motor Speedway, for 85 laps of action here, round at number 7 for these drivers. Sun's starting to set. Lights will be on here pretty soon, and we'll hopefully see a good race for these drivers out here tonight. Last week out, it was an interesting one, to say the least, as these drivers were out there tackling at Daytona, and it ended up being Alan Elwood taking home his 4th win of the season and really stretching out his lead. Take a look at the point standings here real quick. You see Elwood with a 49-point lead over Tyler Skosen, Jack Stoneman 58 points back, and Ricky Renner leading in the silver division, Jake Lesh leading in the gold, and Joe Thomas leading in the bronze. And the bronze has been the closest battle all season long, but even that stretching out just a little bit. But all in all the point standings still relatively close with with 4 races left in the season. So we'll see if Alan Elwood gets through and gets 3 in a row here and making it 5 on the season, or if somebody else has got the hot shoe tonight. Carl Hamworth joining the booth by Jimmy Colbert. Jimmy, here for kind of another super speedway action here, back-to-back with Daytona last week. Here at Echo Park, it's pretty flat here, and we'll see what these drivers have in store. $37, I think, at my last count. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And unfortunately for Robert Matthews, the lone Canadian out here against all the Americans out here tonight, it looks like he doesn't have a lap in yet. One other driver that just got 1 lap in. Maybe the second lap is better. Maybe he's planning on getting a second lap, but Alan Elwood right now showing up as 33rd on the board. So certainly the 5 going to look for, I'm sure, a better second lap here to try and move up the boards and join the rest of the Platinum Division drivers. Couple of updates here tonight as we'll get this out of the way and take a look as Robert Matthews now does get a qualifying time in, as does Alan Elwood. Moves up the boards, but not to the top spot, up to 5th as it stands. But as far as drivers that are not out here, excuse me, tonight, Matt Simmons is serving his suspension here for this race. Joey Cruz served his last week, so he'll be back out in action, and he's ready to go here tonight with the other 36 drivers. But looks like we are finished up with qualifying, and we're going to get this 85 laps underway. But before we do, Jimmy, why don't you go ahead and take a deep breath and then give us our starting lineup here for tonight. Oh, that one second, Jimmy. I switched it over. It doesn't still. Yeah, it looks like it's still not picking you up. So let me try that again. All right, let's try that again. Yep, there we go. There we go.
I'm here, everybody. I'm here. I really am. Carl was muting me on purpose, I swear. But Tommy Ryan's going to be on the pole here tonight after having a very interesting week last week. Jack Stoneman will be on the outside. AJ Roderick there up on the second row there with JP Phillips, and then Alan Elwood and Tyler Skosen. Matt Crockett squeaks one in here up really high in 7th place from the silver division with Chad Coleman on the outside in 8th. Danny Ware's up here in 9th with Sean Hook, rookie, in 10th with John Williams Sr. here in 11th with Kelly Pointer in 12th. 13th is going to be Jeff Ryan. 14th is going to be Jonathan Schwartz. 15th will be Courtney Nelson with Dan Phelps on the outside. Datelin Drummond's in 17th and Josh Van Westen in 18th. Jeremy Gainey in 19th. Kevin Foster in 20th. Joe Thomas having a good night last night. Looking to have a repeat with Joey Cruz on the outside, 22nd. 23rd is Zane Bierman in 23rd with Joe Sullivan. In 24th, 25th, Colin is in 25th with James Hislop in 26th. 27th, Ricky Renner, Terry Jensen in 28th. Jake Lesh in 29th. Nathan Nickerson in 30th. Stephen Harris in 31st. Dave Tilford back in 32nd. Gary Wright in 33rd. Robert Matthews in 34th. John Crane in 35th. Randy Yoakum in 36th. And Luis Orduna bringing up the back of the pack with 37 cars. Going to be an interesting one here tonight. Got some fast drivers towards the back of the pack, so they'll be looking to make their way through the field and get up front, but can they avoid the mayhem that's going to about to ensue on this tight but yet fast track here at Atlanta, known as Echo Park?
Yeah, and really, you just like a super speedway, you kind of need to settle into the race here a little bit. It's easy for us to say up here in the booth. It's fast racing out here, and it's flat out. You can run any lane you want. We can see 2 wide, which I'm sure we obviously will. We will most likely see 3 wide racing as well. You see the kind of 3 different lines. You got the dash line there to hopefully let the drivers know kind of where those 3 lines are, but it is very, very tight. It doesn't look like it right now as they're just pacing around. Looks like, yeah, you could easily fit 3 cars there and it's not a problem, but when you're up there at a full speed and you're hitting these corners, it is scary going 2 wide, let alone 3 wide. But we'll see what they got in store for us here tonight. It's time to get this thing underway. Pace car is off. It's in control here from Barney as he's going to wave our first green flag here of the night. 85 laps are underway here at Echo Park.
Yeah, way to go. Getting a pretty good start. Looking back to the field, does look like they're able to get a all-good start. Inside's got a little bit of a slight advantage. At the 56 of AJ Roderick pushes Tommy Ryan up at the front. Outside, kind of lacking behind here on the start, but we'll see how that momentum goes. I'm not quite sure. It's been a while. I haven't raced Echo Park per se. I've raced Atlanta, but not Echo Park. But you see that outside. Well, AJ moving up in front of his teammate Alan Elwood. Okay. Kind of team up there to take the lead here over Tommy Ryan.
Good starter for the field, and one thing that has changed from the last time that we came here to Echo Park is the line rule. The line rule in effect here tonight, and these drivers will not be able to go below that white, red, and white line to make any kind of passes here tonight. They're going to have to do it the old-fashioned way, on the track, instead of cutting it, and you're not going to have anything like, you know, like Phoenix or like last time we came here to Echo Park where the drivers were cutting the track on the front stretch. You need to keep it up there on the track, and they can't gain any kind of advantage by going down there, whether it's to try and make a pass or even to try and defend. If you tiptoe down there a little bit, that's fine, but you can't use it to your advantage. So the drivers will certainly be scrutinized for that post-race if that is the case. But either way, good start here for the field, and I mean, great size field out here as well. Love to see 30+ cars out here, let alone getting close to 40 this late in the season. Again, this is race number 7 out of 10, so we're getting close to the end of this thing, and already some talks about next season. I mean, it's hard to say anything but the Xfinity, which will be turned over to the O'Reilly Series next season, because it's been just so damn popular here on in CORE. I mean, it's been 30+ fields pretty consistently for quite a few seasons now, so it's hard to say, yeah, let's take a vote and see about changing it. But sometimes, you know, a little mixing it up doesn't hurt, and maybe get some fresh blood in there, or you know, maybe some drivers want to check some other series out in the meantime as well. But so far, so good from the field here. Up front, it is AJ Roderick leading the way. He's got his teammate Alan Elwood right behind him. Then on the outside, it is Tommy Ryan leading Jack Stoneman. And Matt Crockett doing a good job up here too. The silver driver up there in 5th position to start this thing.
Yeah, I've noticed Matt Crocker really defending that low side, especially down the front straightaway, hugging that line, making sure that the number 35 of Danny Ware doesn't even think about going down there, because that's the last thing you need is to leave it open just a little bit, and then that driver's going to take advantage of that spot. And I think with that line rule in play, we're going to see, obviously this close racing, the drivers are going to need to obviously time their momentum shifts quickly, but it does look like we have a few drivers coming into the pits early. Somebody looks like Terry Jansen having an incident back down lap number 5, bringing it down in the pits and keeping it green here.
I see the crash here, but I don't see what happened here, so we'll old-fashioned rewind it here and see what happened here to Terry Jansen as looks like a loose mid-corner, tried to collect it and smacked the wall pretty hard. Jake Lesh getting a piece of that one too, but they all kind of they kept it straight. They kept pointing the correct way. So unfortunately for both 51 and 00, no caution on the speedway for that one. So we're going to keep this thing green, and they're going to be sitting in the pits while the field goes by here once again. Tommy Ryan now starting to move a little bit further up on that outside and closer to the front as AJ Roderick clips the apron there a little bit. And it gave me a little bit of a scare. I don't know about the rest of the field out there, but we're going to hop on board here with Jeff Ryan and just show you what it looks like from the cockpit inside these cars going around Echo Park at the speeds that they are. And it may seem calm, especially in this second lane. He's got some room to move around here, but it's anything but. You're white knuckling this thing around here.
Yeah, you really got to rely on that guy down below not to kind of, get into the corner too tight. I mean, it is some throttle adjustments. It's not just flat foot, especially being in the draft. Dirty air, I mean, anything but. Obviously, the drivers out front are going to be slow, and you can see they're catching up here to Jake Lesh. Slow, not in the draft. It's going to be interesting as the front of the field now has to get around a lap car.
Jake's going to move to that high outside line. And we'll see 3 wide for the first time here. Jake Lesh certainly knows what he's doing, and is going to try and do his best to stay out of the way of everyone, but not a comfortable feeling at all, I'm sure, for Jake Lesh, even being up there. And you see how tight it is. There's 3 lanes here, but you see right there up into the wall on the outside, trying to give these drivers as much room as possible, but it's not easy, and he's really got to work that thing off the wall. And luckily, he's going to keep it going here, but it is tight and not easy.
Yeah, I'm sure he's surprised, just as surprised as everybody else that they were able to keep it green there at the last incident, and now the field making up by him. But you see now Jake Lesh able to catch on to the draft, and car is just down. I don't think down power, just out of the draft, and caught right back onto the back end. Now we obviously that lap down, just kind of keep it. These a couple laps down. That was 3 laps.
Yeah, 3 laps down already. Yep.
That's amazing. It's that far, because it looks like he's able to kind of hold on to that draft.
What's kind of crazy here is what we've seen here so far. To me, it almost seems like these drivers are more comfortable running 2 wide here at Echo Park than they were last week at Daytona. I know there was a lot of incidents usually caused by the 3 wide attempts at Daytona last week, but it seemed like they were just maybe a little bit more on edge at Daytona, maybe knowing what was on the line, and the big ones right around the corner, and anybody can win at Daytona, and maybe they're kind of settling in here at Echo Park, and maybe I'm jinxing them as well. But either way, a good start here to the race. 13 laps are going to be in the books this time by. It's AJ Roderick leading this thing at the front. Good qualifying effort from the 56, and a better qualifying effort than his teammate Alan Elwood, but they both hooked up here early and working their way to the lead. You got the 20 of JP Phillips that I'm sure would love to get up there and work with his old UCRL buddy Tommy Ryan, but he's got Jack Stoneman right in the middle, which is not exactly a bad person to have in there, as the 66 and the 25 combined for the 2 Platinum Championships last season, with Jack Stoneman taking the playoff championship and Tommy Ryan taking the overall points championship. But it's still going to be tough with those Simrad market cars down on the inside, controlling the inside line, and it's still plenty early to figure out which line is better. We've seen, the outside line get some runs and work their way up there. I'm sure, the side draft is definitely going to play a big part later in the race as well, and I'm sure that third line will also come into play.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to have to figure out that third line here eventually, and the field coming up on another lap car. So here's number 2 is the driver there that they're going to end up catching up again. That's the 00, so that's the likes of Terry Jansen. So a little bit skill-wise, a little bit different there for what they were encountered there with Jake Lesh. So we'll see if they can get by the 00 as easy as they did the number 51.
And same thing there. Jansen goes to the high side here to try and stay out of everyone's way, but we'll keep an eye on it because it's not easy no matter who you are. And you see there Jansen scraping the wall there a little bit, coming on to the front stretch, and he's doing his job staying out there, but it's hard to navigate that quad oval in the front stretch. You see right there as Dan Phelps really out of shape trying to get around him, and almost contact again there between the 00 and 51 as Terry Jansen tries to latch onto the back of this field, but it is not easy, and it's definitely a scary feeling right there, trying to go 3 wide and stay out the way. It's tough because it's the line that you kind of need to take as a lap car, because one, you want to get out of everybody's way. You want to take a line that they're not running and be courteous to everyone out there that is battling on the lead lap, but you don't want to just go down to the bottom of the track and right around the apron, because then your chance of picking up the draft are pretty much null and void. You're going to go get passed by everybody, and eventually, since you don't have the draft, you're going to get lapped again, and maybe another 10, 15 laps. So you kind of have to take that high line, hope you try and keep it off the wall, hope you keep it off everybody else, and then hope once everybody gets by you, you can grab onto the tail end of that pack and at least get the draft. But it's tough. It's tough on a tight track like this, as Dan Phelps having some more issues in the quad oval, and this time gets into the wall a little bit harder. Through turns 1 and 2, he's going to keep it straight, keep it up there on the wall, but going to lose quite a bit of momentum here. Try to take a look and see. We can see it just seems like that the second part of that quad oval, I guess you want to consider turn number 1, not exactly working out too well for the 85, but either way, he's still got it going. No meatball or anything like that for Dan Phelps, but he's going to fall back quite a bit here. Now, speaking of falling back quite a bit, this is our second group, and I don't remember seeing anything kind of happen to them. Maybe they just fell back, for checking up for other issues. Maybe they had a checkup because of the issue with Terry Jansen and Jake Lesh earlier. But you see, they're about a half a track behind the field right now, so they really got to get tightened up here and just get in a single file line and hope that they can keep this thing rolling here with the draft. But out front, it is still AJ Roderick leading the way. Tommy Ryan, Alan Elwood, Jack Stoneman, Matt Crockett for your top 5. Then JP Phillips, Danny Ware, Kelly Pointer, Sean Hook, and Tyler Skozen for your top 10.
Yeah, and they got obviously treating this like Daytona. And Carl, we haven't talked about it yet because we haven't seen anybody kind of really step out too far. But overheating, I wonder if that's a thing here tonight. It does look like they're keeping some pretty good space. Besides Alan Elwood and Tyler Skozen, who are trying to push the people that are in front of them as they're leading those lines.
Well, I was laughing because I thought you were going to the same thought that I just had too, is that we're about a quarter of the way through this race, Jimmy, and I would think it's getting tantalizingly close to the first pit stop. So either the first pit stop's coming around, the late 20s, early 30s for sure. I'm pretty sure this is going to be a two-stop race for these drivers, and they've been running too wide this entire time. You can't do that at Echo Park here and try and make pit stops. You can do it at Daytona if everything is coordinated well. You can come in there, too wide, and I mean, we've seen them come in 5-6 wide coming into the pits. It's not the same at Echo Park here. It's a little bit tighter, and it's a little tougher to get down into pit road. And I believe, actually, if I'm not mistaken, I think they need to enter in turn number 3 and stay down there that entire time. I think that is one of the new rules here. I could be mistaken, but I thought I remember that from the last time we came here.
We're about to find out. Because, like I said, I have not raced a single official. Besides just kind of going to go out there and just drive the car around and set up cameras for other events that we have here at CRN. But yeah, I don't know, Carl. I don't know. I mean, I really don't. It's going to be an interesting one here for sure. And I think once you start seeing cars kind of trying to shift down to that bottom line, like forcing their way down, either one, a caution's going to come out because nobody wants to give up their spot, or will somebody miss the pits, or will somebody run into a wall? What's going to happen? Don't know. If I'm AJ Roderick, one, say, can be fast at places and has had troubles with some pit stops in the past. It's on his mind, like, when you guys gonna wreck, so I don't have to do this thing underneath the green. I could just lead the field down underneath caution, which would be 100% safer for the rest of the field not involved in an incident. But right now, Carl, not looking like that is going to happen. They are 26 laps into this race here. It's led by AJ Broderick and Alan Elwood up front. Matt Crockett, lone silver driver up to currently sitting at P3. Tommy Ryan, Danny Ware, Jack Stoneman, JP Phillips, Tyler Skozen, Kelly Pointer, and Coleman, all up there for your top 10.
Well, Jimmy, I'm guessing it's getting a little close to pit stops here, because I'm starting to see that line get a little thinner on that outside line, and it's starting to be a little bit more single file here at the front. Tommy Ryan already dropped down on the inside line, and again, I'm almost positive at this point, riding on board there with AJ Roderick, seeing that the line down on the inside, entering turn number 3, they have to be down below that line to come into the pit. You can still race around on that apron down there, but you cannot drift up across that white line. There's a single white line and down on the inside here, all through turns 3 and 4 until you come into pit lane. So it is very tricky because it's a long entrance all the way. You see down there those dashed those striped white lines. You got to be down there on the inside there, lead that all the way down into pit road and stay below that solid white line on the outside the entire way, or you will get an unsafe entry into pit lane. And for drivers that maybe haven't practiced it in pit stop and maybe thinking you can just come in off of turn number 4, that's going to be an unsafe entry as well. So very well could see some black flags here tonight from drivers maybe not knowing the procedures here at Atlanta. But either way, it's been a heck of a good start here. We're coming up on the start of lap number 30 here very soon. I don't think there's any way they're getting to midway here, making this thing a one-stopper. So it's going to be a 2-stop race the way it looks. But for the most part, everybody's single filing out here. Lone driver right now out on the outside. Kelly Pointer maybe trying to make up some positions with everybody being single file. But I think he's eventually going to have to make his way to the inside. And it looks like finally the UNOH boys of Skozen and Stoneman maybe finally hooking up together here on the inside. It almost got some 3-wide battling there back towards the back, but that's going to settle out here. You got Sean Hook in the 43 on the inside, Zane Bierman on the outside, another driver that has been pretty dang decent lately in the CRN broadcast, as Zane Bierman up here. He's got a 55 number plate there down on the bottom, but he's the number 69, and there we go. Pit stops starting to happen here on the backstretch, and you see the drivers down there all the way on the inside line, and you see drivers making up some spots. AJ Broderick lost a couple spots here as he is down now into 3rd. Alan Elwood moves up into 1st. Matt Crockett moves in right behind him in 2nd. And you got Danny Ware, Josh Van Westen down there as well. Now we'll take a look back at the front. You see some more drivers coming down into the pits here. Tommy Ryan making a late dive to the inside there, trying to use up as much time as possible. But this is, I would imagine, Jimmy, maybe of all the tracks right now, because of this long pit entrance, as long as you don't mess it up, and it looks like he didn't, this is definitely a track where you can gain a ton of time or lose a ton of time on pit entry.
Yeah, he's, if you're on board any of the cars.
Oh,
and here's an incident.
Yep, Kelly Pointer looked like he was trying to make a late move down to the inside, and that is going to bring out a caution here right in the middle of the pit cycle. And we're going to have to re-rack him up here, and looks like major damage there to the 75. He's got a meatball, pulls it down off the track, probably going to have to tow it back to pit lane. Now it looks like it's still rolling a little bit here, but we'll take a look and see what happened on the incident. You see Kelly Pointer at the front there, maybe trying to get down to the bottom. Tyler Skozen was there. Looked like maybe Chad Coleman was planning on staying out another lap. And Skozen ended up staying out another lap too. I think that was a late call for Skozen, thinking that, you know what, I'm going to stay out because it looks like it's going to be a caution here. And just get talking about Zane Bierman gets involved here. Pretty hard contact there. And looks like the 280 of Nathan Nickerson involved. The 43 Sean Hook involved as well. Looks like the 42 maybe doing some pretty good dodging there to get around the incident, but some heavy impact there, as you see from the 75. He has got a meatball that he's going to have to serve on that one, but interesting time here, and no surprise, I guess, Jimmy. I mean, I thought we might have had a caution before that, just because Echo Park can be a little treacherous here with this many cars, but kudos to the drivers out there doing a fantastic job here at the beginning. Riding around here very well, and gets all the way to the first green flag pit stops, but the pit stops caused the first incident.
Yeah, you know, and that's I've had it happen where obviously driver wanting to come down in a pit lane, and well, you're not clear, so, and that's kind of what happened. And probably realized it when he come down and endured Stoneman, but and obviously started to check up, and nowhere for the Kit Kat machine to get a break here tonight. Ends up tagging the back of Kelly Pointer, sending them around and causing a kind of a big accident. Collecting a lot of the drivers actually were coming down a little bit earlier down into that pit lane entrance, and it's clearly noted there on the backside, Carl. I did notice there's a big green arrow down there, like it'll light it up and everything when you're in the cockpit to come down into that area. You know, you can basically as well as you can run the apron as fast as you can, and then get the car slowed down before the yellow cone right there by the pit entrance is, you know, where a lot of these drivers are making up those times, and those that were able to do that are the ones that are going to benefit. This is going to stir up the field here, I'm sure, quite a bit. You know, cautions breed cautions, but those look like okay. So look at John Williams down in the pits. Finally, I was wondering when he's going to come in. Ends up getting a black flag for that one. But it does look like when this thing all settles out,
Tyler Skozen is going to be your leader, with Jonathan Schwartz moving up a bunch of spots here as well. But I mean, big benefits to the drivers that were able to stay out. Ricky Renner going to move up to third. Kevin Foster up to fourth. Joe Sullivan up to fifth. Your early leaders, certainly a nice little break for drivers like Tommy Ryan to be able to get through there. I believe he got the he was one of the drivers that was either able to get the wave around or lucky dog to be on the lead lap. But a lot of drivers had to take the wave around, and it's going to put us back to 28 drivers on the lead lap. We're going to get this thing back underway here. We're still not at halfway, but a good start here to the race for sure. Hopefully they can get back some green flag racing here. Field definitely has been mixed up here quite a bit now, as your top 10 is going to be Tyler Skozen, Jonathan Schwartz, Ricky Renner, Kevin Foster, Joe Sullivan, Joe Thomas, Dave Tilford, Courtney Nelson, Nathan Nickerson, and Chad Coleman for your top 10. So maybe not a break initially for the 38, but maybe he got a break eventually, because he's now up there back in the top 10. And the only driver that started in the top 10 other than Tyler Skozen still right there in the top 10. Looks like we're going to have an extended caution here just to get everybody back up to the field, as everybody was still trying to catch up. So we'll go around one more time, and then we'll get this thing back to green.
Yeah, sometimes that's just the best bet here for iRacing and the drivers and the league as in a whole. You know, obviously to just extend it one more lap, and you know, not to have that driver, you know, flat footing it, trying to hit the max speed at the start finish line, and have that huge momentum, and then run into a field that's barely just starting to roll. So it's just safer just you know, as you know, somebody out in the car, and you know, we do have an admin out there. Just to, I just can't do things like clear black flags and stuff like that, because there's no way to check. And you know, if you think NASCAR, they try to get away with stuff like extra fuel, a bigger fuel line, or whatever, you know, to do whatever they need to do to get an edge. You know, it could be like, well, you know, I got a black flag because of this, and you can't just go clear black flags all free willy-nilly without verifying stuff. So we have an in-car admin and somebody to kind of controls restarts and whatnot, but those black flags, yeah, that's a whole another issue. And don't have a dedicated race control here, and even then, you know, it's just easier to let the system do its thing, and sometimes it's not 100% fair, but it's the same no matter what. So, you know, if somebody else did the exact same thing, they get the same penalties. But we're about to get underway here. The pace car is in. Tyler Skosen is away here on lap number 38.
Right on board with one of those in-race admins here, Dave Tilford, alongside one of the other ones out here, Joe Thomas on the outside. You see how much nicer and more room, and you see so much more on the outside. I know eventually Jimmy's going to get tired of me saying that I like running the outside on some of these super speedways, but compared to...
You can run on the outside. I'd be in the inside the whole time until I don't have to get any more fuel. I'm going to tell you that right now.
Well, Tilford now moving to the outside.
What happened there with Kelly Pointer? I don't want to be the guy to take somebody out, knowing that I've been the car taken out for somebody wanting to come in for fuel. That has happened to me, and it's like, he's like, I need fuel, and he just comes right across my nose and takes me out. And like, you know, all I could say is like, you know, well, we won't say what I exactly said, but you know, for lack of better words, that wasn't very nice.
No. Anger Jimmy came out. Your passion was showing for sure, but yeah, I mean,
Jimmy came out.
Just like in super speedways, and when you're following these cars as close as you are, you can't really see anything. I mean, you're looking right here from Jeremy Gainey's cockpit, looking right at the back of John Crane. And I mean, there's nothing to see when you're on the straightaways. You're in the corners, you can dip down a little bit lower, and you can kind of see the field and how it's spreading out. If it's, you know, ebbing or flowing, if you know, people are checking up. But when you're on the straightaway here, if somebody checks up in front of John Crane, Jeremy Gainey's not going to know until that 16 is in his grill. So it can get really sketchy really quick here. But it's all, you know, a matter of trust and hoping that you have time to make a decision. But you see coming out of turn number 3 and 4 there, it's not exactly smooth. It is a little bit bumpy, and these drivers doing a fantastic job right now handling it. It certainly it looks a lot easier, and it feels a lot more comfortable up here in the booth compared to what they're dealing with out there. But Tyler Skosen is your leader. Jonathan Schwartz there in second. Kevin Foster in third. Ricky Renner now trying to lead a charge on the outside. He's got the one of Joe Sullivan right behind him. You see the 38 of Chad Coleman. Got that Kit Kat machine up there in the third, and we'll see if he's got what it takes to get back up here and talk to us again. He certainly had a good finish last week. Somehow, I mean, with everything that kind of went on with him, don't know how he finished up as well as he did, but take a look back at some of the drivers we were seeing at the front earlier on, and they're kind of side by side back in the mid-pack here. 17th for Elwood on the inside, and 18th for Tommy Ryan on that outside. Yeah, trying to look back and see it.
The field is coming up on the set of 2, you know, Carl. So, you know, we only, last time the field, when they had to go around lap cars, there was only a single car, so they had no kind of speed at all. Now they're going to come up on 2, and you can see they're riding on board with John Williams, and then you also have the 3 there in front of them. So it's, you know, it's going to be tough for these drivers to kind of, you know, so in this case, these drivers here could just not go high, and they could stay down a little on the side, but they're kind of ducking around each other back and forth, you know, not really tight-knit, like hugging each other where they can really gain some speed, and where the leader, you know, could come up on them and, you know, kind of just, they could blend in, and their speed would increase. So it could be more challenging. It could be worse, but these are the 2 that are in front of them. You can see, looking for Tyler Skosen, they are back and forth. I don't know if they're racing or they don't know how to.
It's not for position.
One another, the draft.
Yeah, it's not for position.
What's going on back here?
Let's take a look from the back here of John Williams, and you see the field. Is it coming? Not there yet, and John Williams able to hang in there for now because he's got the draft of the 3 of Luis Orduna. But you can see the entire field is bearing down on both of them now. Because they're 2 cars in line here, they can also go down on the apron. Because you have some drafting. You have a drafting partner to try and work their way back up there.
They can stay right down there.
They very well could as well. Yes.
Yeah. And I can see that happen now. They're spread out.
Yeah. This is what you can't do. You can't pick multiple lanes.
They're coming. Go high. So now that just kind of opened the door, for these drivers that go single file. But that's fine all the way back to about 6th place, and then you got the 53 up there on the high side. Gonna pull that draft, and now gonna probably use that momentum to probably go 3 wide here, and it's gonna happen. So 3 wide down the front stretch and qual, making it real
close there with John Crane on the inside.
Tries to get in there. That should allow them to get in the draft here. And it does. And
you see John Crane there go down below the white line there a little bit, the red white or the white red and white line. If they need to go down there, for safety reasons, that's not going to be an issue. If they're going down there just to avoid, they're like right there. There were 3 wide, and he's just trying to give some extra room there to Ricky Runner. Like that's not an issue right there. It's more if they're trying to gain any positions, or if they're trying to make some massive defensive moves or something like that. It's going to be an issue. But it looks like we have Jeff Ryan with a meatball flag here as well. I didn't see what happened to Jeff Ryan. See if we can maybe pick up on something here. Looks like the 75 of Kelly Pointer out there on the outside wall, and I'm seeing some major issues here at the back of the field.
What was that?
And I mean, no caution here once again.
Oh, right there.
Looks like. Even before
why was that not a caution though? That's
everybody kept
crazy.
It straight is the problem. I mean, it's a good thing, but it's also a bad thing. And it looks like trying to see who I started. Looks like right there, the 67 of Colin Flickinger getting a little loose, and kind of same situation. He tries to correct it, gets into the outside wall, and the hood goes flying off into the 11, and his hood goes up as well. But you see quite a few cars getting involved in this one. Jeff Ryan gets sent into the wall pretty hard. A lot of cars involved in this one, but again, I mean, it's iRacing cautions. Jeff Ryan back out there right now, and because everyone kept it straight, nobody was spinning sideways on the track, green flag stays out.
That's crazy. That's all I can say. I don't know how that would go in real life, to me, that's... I can almost say they would have probably called a caution, but with everything kind of going on, people hitting walls and stuff like that. But either way, now you can see they come up with that black car again. Oh!
Plenty of room, Jimmy. Plenty of room for us up here. Oh, and right there, a little bit of a tail slapper right there.
I'm chill in my seat. I'm not driving. I don't have to worry about missing that. But you come around a corner, and all of a sudden you got a slow lap car just kind of like trying to get out of the way.
We got a big wreck at the front here, as this is going to be a caution. Big incident here at the front of the field. Quite a few drivers involved. And I'm seeing at least 3 meatballs here. Let's take a look at this here one more time. And it might have been, oh, look at that.
Look at that, 280.
Can't say too much. They are the series sponsors, but 2 drivers here from the simraces.com. Nathan Nickerson pushing in the corner. That's one thing you can't do. You can't do it on super speedways. You definitely can't do it here on Echo Park, and ends up being a major incident, causing both of them to get a meatball, as well as looks like Jack Stoneman gets a meatball on this one as well. So some heavy damage here, bringing out a mid-race caution here. It's going to give these drivers a chance to come into the pits. And Jimmy, I think we're pretty close. If not, we're in that pit window to get you to the end.
Yeah, I would not expect anything less than, at least some of the drivers coming down. And yeah, you see the obviously the leader's already down in pit lane. Joe Thomas, it does look like he's going to stay out.
Looks like Joe Thomas, John Crane, both going to stay out here. And I mean, it's maybe worth a chance for some of these drivers here to stay out, because if we end up getting another caution in 5, 6 laps or so, they can come in, you know, top off and get their fuel for the rest of the race, and have some newer tires than everybody else as well. So interesting here to see this happen. As you see, I'm trying to see who that was. Was that Robert? Yeah, Robert Matthews getting his lap back. So it's going to put us back to 25 cars on the lead lap with Matthews getting a lucky dog. But yeah, a little lesson in oval racing for both Nathan Nickerson and Ricky Renner, and not bumping in the corners. Certainly real great on the road side, but you know, getting their feet wet here on the oval side
they skip drafting
and learning. Yes, they'll have to go back to. We'll need some Gran Turismo license days and make them earn their oval license in drafting. But either way, we do see, it looks like John Crane coming down into the pits, and a few others coming into the pits. But I believe John Crane's going to end up with a meatball because of this, because the pit road will most likely be closed for him this time by some of the cars behind him. I believe are lap cars.
Maybe not a meatball, but definitely a black flag.
Yeah, it's exactly, yeah. And the cars behind him are lap cars, so this is when pit road is open for them. But I believe Crane was on the, well, he was in the lead lap because he was going to line up in second. And see if he registers here with a black flag or not. Yep, and there it is. Black flag for the 16, so he's going to have to serve that once we go back to green. But the man at the front, Joe Thomas, electing not to come into the pits. How about the man that's going to line up in second, Jimmy? So far, he's getting his brakes.
Give the man a break. But I mean, it didn't get a very clean break from the get-go. We'll just make it that way. And you know, you start looking at some of the drivers that were up front previously, you know, at the beginning of the race, now kind of mid-pack. So track position very important here, and you know, being on the top side, not a perk at the moment, I don't think. As far as like just kind of the amount of movement that can be had is, I think, still kind of a thing. But with everybody being in the window to make it the rest of the way, maybe not too bad of a situation. So kind of interesting to see who will fall where. You got Joe Thomas up front there with Coleman, and then now you got Dave Tilford up there in the gold, sitting there in P number 3. Tyler Skozen back and forth, Schwartz, Foster in there. Yeah, last week's gold winner in 6th at the moment. Stoneman's in 7th. Gainey in 8th. Bierman in 9th. The top silver driver, and then Nelson back there in for the top 10. I talked about Nelson very much throughout the season, kind of getting out there and doing his thing. So yeah, let's get this thing back underway as the pace car is in.
Well, as they go back to green here, we're going to go ahead, step aside, and let these cars roar here at Echo Park. Give everyone out there in CRN Nation a little love to hear it.
Love to hear it, love to hear it.
sights and sounds here from the CORE Xfinity Series presented by simraces.com, and a couple cautions here. We've seen a big one, certainly, in turns 3 and 4, and then here we see another one where it just seems like that turn 1, the second part of the quad oval here on the front stretch is not being friendly to a few drivers. Certainly Dan Phelps, we've seen him get a little bit loose and almost maybe bring out the caution himself, but it ended up being Luis Orduna just trying to save it multiple times and eventually couldn't save it, and brings out another caution here. And seen a few drivers come into the pits from the back half of the cars that are on the lead lap, but for the most part, everybody's staying out, and not really surprised to me and Jimmy being track position meaning so much here tonight. Kevin Foster, apparently the interview last week maybe rejuvenized him a little bit. I mean, exactly. He's feeling it again here tonight, leading the field here. But Jeremy Gainey, bronze driver, doing very well up there as well in second place. Alan Elwood has made his way back up into third. Chad Coleman still trying to get himself a break to get himself into the top spot here and for a win. Courtney Nelson still doing good up there in fifth. AJ Roderick, your pole sitter, or actually, sorry, not your pole sitter, started up there in third. He's still running good. He's worked his way back up into sixth position. And then you got Joe Sullivan, Tyler Skosen, Danny Ware, and Jack Stoneman for your top 10. We got less than 20 to go now, and we're heading back to the line here one more time. Kevin Foster back on the loud pedal. We are racing again at Echo Park.
And a little bit different outcome this time. Jeremy Gainey needed to start on the outside, not able to be behind the 8, so has to work that outside. Now I got the 38 of Chad Coleman, who's going to look down the inside. This looks like Gainey's just going to give it up and probably fall in the line behind the 38 once he works his way by, if he can work all the way by, because they are too wide right behind them there with the 1 and the 56. And the Gainey is able to come down, but you can see being a little bit newer, how to kind of come down and merge like that right out, out of a lane with no draft to a lane with draft and dirty air can affect that car. But all the drivers there of the 1 and 56 aware, and we're able to kind of pick them up there and let them come by. But the 56 of AJ Roderick's going to use that outside with the likes of the UNOH boys, the number 55 and 25 as they work their way on the outside.
Starting to get a little more two-wide racing action. All the drivers are good to go to the end on fuel, and I think, as we mentioned, nobody really wants to drop down and take tires, even if they have them, because track position has been so key here tonight. Now we got a pass for the lead. Elwood gets a little fake there to Foster, gets to the inside on the front stretch. Courtney Nelson going to follow on by, so now Foster's going to have to utilize maybe a little help from Elwood's teammate there of AJ Roderick. Gets a nice little shot in a turn at number 3 to try and get that outside lane working. But on the inside lane, it is Elwood, Nelson, and Coleman for your first 3. On the outside line, you see Foster, Roderick, and Skosen.
And you can see, Kevin was trying to hold that white line down the front stretch, unable to cut that red-white line there, but bobbled it and opened up the door just enough for Elwood to kind of, maybe was guessing or looking to go to the outside, but seeing the bobble, the 8 was able to get that nose just in the inside of the 8 and able to, get them back there. Back there, Tommy Ryan following.
He got put 3 wide, and they got to the wall on the outside there and gets shuffled back through the field here a little bit. Now he's got Jonathan Schwartz right behind him as well, as they're going to try and maybe regroup here and make another run to get up through the field. The time is starting to tick away here. I know there's still another 14 laps to go, but that's going to go by pretty quickly here. Jonathan Schwartz not going to wait. He's going to go 3 wide to the middle here. Looks like an incident towards the back of the pack with Stephen Harris, as he's torn up here pretty good. We'll take a look and see what happened to him. No caution on the speedway, but do some close racing here, and maybe some more with Luis Orduna hooking him into the wall on the outside, and somehow that wasn't a caution. He did slide across the track, but we'll get you back live here and up towards the front to the craziness here again, because it's starting to get racy here. Getting close to 10 laps to go. That 5 of Alan Elwood looking to get his 5th win of the season. Tommy Ryan on the outside lane back there trying to get the 3rd lane rolling. It is a sketchy place to be But if you can get out there and you have the cojones to do so, you see he's starting to make that 66, work his way up through there little by little.
Yeah, and they're running 3 wide there now, and it's been a lap or 2 now with them like that. And now that
and that's what can happen right there. A little bump from the 43. The 12 gets shot up the track, and Tommy Ryan, all that progress is thrown by the wayside here again. And now the 12 of Dave Tilford is left on that outside line, and looks like he's gonna slide right down and get back into line here in the second line. But at the front, it is still Alan Elwood leading the way. Kevin Foster trying to get that second line to get rolling here. And again, the question is, will that 56 work with the 8? Try and get both of them up there to the front with his teammate leading the way right now. To line this time, you got 10 laps to go.
You know, and it really, I guess, depends on where the 56 wants to finish. You know, are they going to try to work with the 8 to get up into a P2 or 3, or is he happy with a 4th or 5th here tonight? You know, the 56 needs to make a decision, and as much as they want to help their teammate, maybe they want to get a good finish, so want to try to get a podium finish. He's going to have to push the 8 or try to set him out there, but who's saying the 55 is going to go with him if they go 3 wide? Got 10 laps to go.
We're going to spin towards the back. As I see Matt Crockett going around, and we will have a yellow flag here late in the race. He's going to group him back up, and it looks like Crockett is going to walk away with a meatball on this one. We'll take a look and see what happened on this one. You see 3 wide in a couple different places here. JP Phillips up there scraping the wall a little bit, trying to keep it up there, and see just a little bobble there from the 10, and maybe that was enough to slow him up. 66 gets into the back of him. As you want to talk about drivers not getting a break here tonight, Tommy Ryan certainly, after that first caution, hasn't found a break all night tonight, as he's been kind of marred in the middle of the pack. And same thing for Jake Lesh, as he's just going to sneak on by this one. Jeff Ryan, though, both the Ryans working on Crockett on this one, and it looks like Jeff Ryan is going to have some major damage to his car as well. But not going to be a meatball somehow. It looked like his car's damaged a lot more than the 10, but it just depends on where the damage is. Crockett's going to have to come in and use a fast spare if he has one still in the bank. But going to bring us under a late race caution here. And we see a lot of the drivers back half of the field here coming into the pits. And if they got a set of tires yet, maybe they can make something happen to get them up there, maybe battle for a top 10 before this thing is over. But pretty much everybody in the front of this field electing, you know what, I need track position here. It is tough enough to try and make a pass. It's not like, you know, like Daytona or Talladega where you can get hooked up with a couple of drivers and make your way through. It's sketchy here, and it's already going to be 2 wide on the restart. Going 3 wide has not been easy here tonight.
Yeah, getting around here, you know, is fairly simple. It's fast. It's not a complicated task. But when you add the likes of 30 plus 36 other drivers with you, all running door to door, bumper to bumper, things become a whole different ball game. You know, getting out, like, you know, you come out here and like, oh, let me go practice some Echo Park on this new surface, and you get out and you run, and it's like, oh, this is nice. It drives nice. This is easy. I can do this. You got to think of 36 other drivers that are going to be out there with you. But going 2 wide, the grasping on strings, looking for that next position, closing down on the season, looking for any points to maybe gain, you know, a spot for a championship. There's so much else that goes on through a driver's mind, you know, other than, oh, I just need to get around here fast. Now it's surviving, blocking, right pit strategy, pit entries, fuel consumption. There's so much more out there on the driver's mind, and that, and top off being maybe frustrated, getting caught up in an incident, or being doored or sent sideways a little bit. You know, there's so much, Carl. I am so much happier, and not. I mean, I'm passionate. I don't have to get super race passionate up here in the booth.
Yeah, I'm not the biggest super speedway fan driving them. I'm more I'm fine being up here in the booth. And this, even though it's not a
This is right up my alley.
I'm fine. I'm fine. You can keep these super speedways. I'll take my intermediates all day. These super speedways are just here at Echo Park. It's a little more racy, even though it is super speedway like. It's not your 2.5 mile high banks. I don't want to say snooze fest, but it's a race. At Daytona and Talladega, you should be able to basically just sit back and cruise for 90% of the race.
Really
it doesn't necessarily happen.
Super Speedway, Carl. Special edition, make them run the iRacing Super Speedway.
Gross.
That thing.
Gross.
It's kind of gross, but it's longer, it's wider, and man, is it fast when they go. Because I don't own it, but I watch people run on it, and man, I think I'd buy it just to watch some people run around it a couple times. But I want to be out there. It would be a different, unique race because of how large it is.
Well, we're back to racing here. It is 6 laps to go here at Echo Park. Drivers winding them cars back up here for one more run to the green, one more to the white, one more to the checkered. Who's going to get this thing done here tonight?
Maybe. Well, can the 8 do what the 5 did to him? I guess we'll find out.
We talked a little bit about him earlier on in the race. Kevin is not the highest running gold driver right now. It is Courtney Nelson on the outside.
No.
Elwood going to lead that lap by 1/100th of a second. Yellow flag is going to come out though, and
macro. No.
Looks like quite a few drivers involved in this one as well. I didn't want to mention him because I thought he was having a pretty good race here. It's been pretty quiet for the 28 of Joey Cruz, but unfortunately gets involved in this one. JP Phillips gets involved here as well. I'll try and take a look back and see what brought this one out. And some more instance here again. Tommy Ryan not exactly having
that one.
His best night here for sure, as major incident there. The 20 and the 28 almost goes up and over, and that is going to bring us under a late race caution. And I think late enough, Jimmy, that we're about to go into overtime here at Echo Park and go to some green-white checkers. You see late there, Dan Phelps.
Dan Phelps.
Nowhere to go on that one.
Nowhere.
And, take a look back on board here for Dan Phelps and show you at high speed how quickly
full speed
things
how
go
fast
by.
This happens. Can't see nothing, can't see the sound. Smoke, slow lift. He lifts. People move out of the way, bang. That's that quick.
And we talked about how you can't see anything behind somebody else. You seen right there, he was riding behind John Crane, and Crane had clearly a better view than he did. We'll take a look at that here one more time now from on board the 16, where you look at the view from the 16, he can see a lot more. He's not looking at the back bumper somebody else.
Oh, there comes a car. Let me miss.
And a great record avoidance there by John Crane to dive to the inside. But unfortunately, as soon as he dove to the inside, and Phelps didn't have time to, and gets caught up in a big wreck there. And meatballs being served here tonight, Jimmy, as it's been plenty of meatballs here, unfortunately, for a lot of these drivers.
Yeah, plenty of meatballs here for the drivers. It's not... It stinks, but, it happens. And it's really just trying to keep things going here as good as we can. It's getting late here, but I don't know what's going to like to stay out. I'm sure he's hoping we don't have to use too many of those green-white checkers up. Hopefully he's good on fuel. He's saving as much as he can. He's off the throttle, staying above the white line, not on the apron. I think he said he got yelled at last week. Trying to save fuel, so just kind of keeping things kind of calm here. Not as like I said, it's not as long, so saving fuel isn't the issue, but kind of making sure you have enough for that run to the end. Can the 5 pull off another win here? Does look like it's leading that way. The 29 of Courtney Nelson looking to get get that gold win over Kevin Foster, currently sitting in P number 3. And you got the Kit Kat machine, number 38, back there in 4th. Joe Sullivan sits in 5th. Jeremy Gainey having a great run, up in 6th. Tyler Skozen in 7th. AJ Roderick's in 8th. Danny Ware's in 9th. And Jack Stoneman rounds out your top 10. Kind of a brief rundown on the rest of the field. You've got Sean Hook, James Hislop, Dave Tilford, Jonathan Schwartz, Josh Van Westen, Dalen Drummonds, Joe Thomas, Robert Matthews, Randy Yoakum, John Crane for your top 20. Joey Cruz, Tommy Ryan, Ricky Renner, Gary Wright, Dan Phelps, John Williams Sr., Jake Lech, Colin, and JP Phillips, and Terry Jensen back all the way back to 30th. And the rest of the field, Jeff Ryan, Matt Crockett, Stephen Harris, Luke Sordina, Kelly Pointer, Zane Bierman, and Nathan Nickerson.
Yeah, it's kind of a shame, Jimmy. I know I make mention of I don't like that it's called Echo Park now. I'm so used to Atlanta Motor Speedway, but a lot of times we're looking at a track and like, man, they really need to repave this thing. They really need to get this thing back under control. I mean, you look at a track like Rockingham, how bumpy it is, and I know they've resurfaced it. It's not in iRacing yet, but Atlanta here, which is now Echo Park, I feel like it can provide some good racing. I mean, we've seen them run green all the way up into the first pit stops, but I don't think it's nearly as good as the old Atlanta. I mean, the old Atlanta, you had to race the track a little bit more. Here, you're just flat out here, and more often than not, it's just too tight to make any kind of good racing here. It's at the point where it's like, I don't know. I mean, is it worth having Echo Park on the schedule with these high speed cars that can one little twitch and you're taking out 15-20 cars in the field, as compared to you go to the old Atlanta and you have something different? But either way, we're going to finish this one out, but not in regulation. It's about to go overtime here. Green flag is out. Green white checkered attempt number 1 is underway. Alan Elwood jumps out to a nice comfortable lead. He's got Kevin Foster battling with Courtney Nelson right behind him, side by side. You got the 38 of Chad Coleman right there. How about Joe Sullivan? Haven't talked about him very much at all here tonight. And the one as he's going to get into contact with the 38. Not sure if the 38 was coming down there or not. They slide off the track, but no caution as they were down off the track. And now we may have a caution as we got a big one coming out of turn number 4.
Holy cookies.
And that
was
is
a hard hit.
Gonna bring out another caution here tonight. We'll first take a look at the incident between Joe Sullivan and Chad Coleman. And it looks like maybe Joe Sullivan coming up the track and getting into the 38. Not sure if he was looking to try and go to the outside or just get a little side draft, but that incident right there put both of them down on the inside, and some heavy impact for both. And then let's take a look up here. I know Jeremy Gainey, I believe, was one of them involved. And maybe again some bumping in the corners. We'll take a look here. We'll get it going here a little bit.
Yeah. And 56 able to get his nose in. That's where it kind of...
Yeah, late move to the middle there. And I'm not sure if AJ wanted to go in there or not, but big wreck here. Coming to the white flag. Didn't get the white flag, so we'll still have another attempt at green-white checker, but you see the 92 there. A little Dale Earnhardt-esque getting shot up into the outside wall, and then collecting a few others. As the 218 gets involved, the 119 gets involved. You see my CPU getting involved, not liking this one as well. But it's going to bring us to our second green-white checker here tonight. Top 3 changing up here just a little bit, and really the top 5 changing up here a little bit. So we'll see how this restart goes.
Donations for Carl to get a i9 14900K.
I can't stand these blinks anymore. Yes. Well, we will post your name all over our OC page. Yes, exactly.
It really does stink. iRacing is like it's got them older graphics, and they haven't switched anything over yet. There was talk about them making their own graphics engine, blah blah blah. but they're still running on that single core kind of process, and it relies, it's a CPU heavy intensive game so for the single core, so they're not even on the NVIDIA listing, and I see stupid games that are not as popular as iRacing with getting special drivers so they can add DLSS 4. None of that is inquired here at iRacing. So it's still old tech. This game was built, what was it, 2007, I think it was, Carl?
Yeah, 7 or 8, I think I remember you saying. Yep.
Yeah.
Well, we're going to get this thing back on the way one way or another. Hopefully we can finish it under green, but we're only going to have one more attempt at that. This is the second green-white checkered attempt. Alan Elwood is your leader. It's now Kevin Foster out there on the outside line in second. Courtney Nelson in third. Danny Ware in fourth. That's your front 2 rows. Then you got Tyler Skozen, Sean Hook, AJ Roderick, Jeremy Gainey, Jack Stoneman, and Dave Tilford for your top 10. But really, there's a lot of people still in the mix for this thing because we've seen some big accidents here. We'll see if the leaders get to mixing it up here, and you never know. I mean, anybody on the lead lap right now all the way back to 20th position, Joey Cruz could still have a chance at this victory as he's working his way back to the back half of this field. But gonna be all green this time by. Hopefully we see the white. Hopefully we see the checkered. We'll get this thing wrapped up here, and you start to wonder. I mean, we are now more than 5 laps past the time where we were originally going to end this race. Some of these drivers, top 3, last pin on lap number 52. So we are, I would think, stretching this field out pretty far.
Yeah, I mean, they're saving it. So, I mean, they're not pedal to the metal. So, I mean, there's that. Like I said, we talked about fuel saving before. It's about throttle position, but throttles are about to go to the floorboard now as pace car is in. Alan Elwood bringing them down to the the restart zone. Is going to get on the loud pedal now. Gets a nice start. Kind of a little bobble, but not too bad of a start. Does get a nice jump there on the 8 on the inside. Also allowing the number 29 to get a decent start. But Danny Ware's going to cut down to the inside. Leave Kevin Foster on the outside alone. And, you know, might not be able to snag down in there. He has no help but besides the side draft. Able to cut down in front of the 55, then back up again. Oh, what a move.
And now it looks like Tyler Skozen is not going to join the 35. He's going to go to the outside line, and not sure who that's going to benefit. And we got a wreck out of turn number 4. Will they get the white flag or the yellow? White flag in the air. They will race it back to the line. There was a big wreck there, but we're going to race this thing back to the line. They just got the white flag out there. Alan Elwood leads the way on the inside. He's got Courtney Nelson right behind him. Danny Ware, teammate, on the outside, trying to work his way up there as well. They're now side by side, bumping and banging into the final corner. The 43 just about shoving the 35 to try and get around. Will Nelson dive to the inside? He's not going to be able to. On the outside, Ware tries to make it happen, but it is Alan Elwood grabbing his 3rd win in a row, 5th on the season. The comeback tour is definitely ramping up here, and Alan Elwood is not taking any prisoners this year. It is the 5 and the 5 alone, and really stretching his lead at the top of the point standings. Another win for him. Danny Ware, a good job finishing in 2nd. Courtney Nelson, your top running gold driver, there in 3rd. Kevin Foster got a top 5, so it's certainly not a bad effort there from the A tier as well. Top running silver driver is going to go to Dalton Drummonds, and how about John Crane? That record avoidance there gets him the top spot in the bronze here tonight. We'll talk to our top drivers here, but the man that's been on top quite a bit this season gets to do a little victory dance here in the grass at Echo Park.
Yeah, they crossed Alan Elwood crossed by himself, and then it was Danny Ware, and then they were lined up like almost 4, like it was, see, they are, well, yeah, about 4 wide coming across the start finish, but I mean, they're all kind of stacked in like a pyramid. I'm trying to check here. 1 frame at a time, so yeah, so it's the 29, the 43, and then, yeah, Kevin Foster just barely hanging on to 5th place. This goes and almost got them on the end there. That was a heck of a finish.
Yeah, it didn't disappoint. It was super speedway-esque. Definitely coming to the line there to finish this one out, and a lot of drivers right there in the mix. I'm really surprised that with the all the incidents there happening in turn number 4, that there wasn't a caution on that last one, but it's iRacing. It had to be looking at the line right there and maybe hoping to see this thing finish under green as well, and that's what we've seen here tonight. But Jimmy, while we get our 5 drivers in for their interviews, why don't you go ahead and give a rundown of tonight's finishing order?
Yeah, go down here. Our finishing results here tonight. It's going to be Alan Elwood with another win here over Danny Ware, and then Courtney Nelson for your top 3. In 4th, you're going to have Sean Hook, Kevin Foster in 5th, Tyler Skozen in 6th, John Schwartz in 7th. 8th's going to be AJ Roderick, 9th, Jack Stoneman, Dayton Drummond's in 10th, Randy Yoakum in 11th, Chad Coleman 12th, Joey Cruz 13th, John Crane 14th, Ricky Renner 15th, Dave Tilford 16th, Robert Matthews in 17th, Josh Van Westen will be your first 18 drivers. The rest of the field here going through would be Jeremy Gainey in 19th, Tommy Ryan in 20th, 21st, Dan Phelps, 22nd, John Williams Sr., Gary Wright in 23rd, James Hislop in 24th, JP Phillips in 25th, Joe Thomas will finish back at 26th, Jake Lesh in 27th, Colin's going to finish in 28th, Terry Jansen in 29th, 30th is Joe Sullivan, 31st is Jeff Ryan, Matt Crockett in 32nd, Kelly Pointer in 33rd, Stephen Harris in 34th, 35th, Louis Orduna, Zane Bierman in 36th, and Nathan Nickerson to round out your 37-car field here tonight.
I want to thank everyone out there for tuning in tonight. If you haven't done so yet, hit that like and subscribe, get you in touch with everything that CRN has to offer. I want to thank our sponsor here for the series, simraces.com, as well for jumping on board this season. But it is it's time to get this thing wrapped up. We're still waiting for a couple of drivers to get in here for their interviews, but it was a good one here, I think, to finish out, and good to see that 29 of Courtney Nelson finally get into the top 3 here as well. We'll get a chance to talk to him here in a bit, and I mean, all in all, Jimmy, I mentioned it towards the end of the race there, and I kind of feel like I don't like saying that there's an intermediate track out there that shouldn't be run anymore, but I don't know what you can do here with Atlanta. It's at the point where it's too grippy, is all I can say.
Yeah, I mean, it's I don't know, and it's a tough track, and the race because of how fast it is. The draft is so potent, so it's really that close-knit racing that a lot of drivers like to have. And yeah, every track has its positives and negatives. People like short track racing, gross, but I mean, they do, because of the way you have to actually drive the car. You have to use the throttle, you have to use the weight of the car, the transition through the corners. But some people don't know how to drive it, so they end up overdriving the corners and plowing into somebody. Super speedway, it is about white knuckling, trusting everybody around you, but not everybody's out here professionals. But I mean, you go to what happened live at Daytona. I mean, accidents happen, down to the finish, where certain people get wins, and a little bump sends a big wreck. So it's not like it's really much different than real life. But obviously here, I guess the biggest thing is that anybody can come out here. We don't hold any. It's not like, oh, you need to have X, Y, or Z. We've even gone a little farther here within CORE and broken down people into certain divisions within the race, so they're competing against their own kind of skill level. And tracks like this do give opportunity for some of the other drivers to have maybe just a little bit of luck and get a great finish, and that's what we've had here tonight for some of the drivers, and being up there and being able to snag some of them good finishes here tonight. So luck of the draw, Carl, when it comes down to it in the end of the day. And I don't really think it's the track. If the drivers are out here to have fun and race, they got to take on all obstacles, and no matter what track it is, you just got to do your best, drive to your ability, and get around here the best you can.
Well, we got most of our drivers here for their interviews, and we'll go ahead and start getting to them right now. Our third place finisher here tonight. Get this slowed down here a little bit and get to him. Third place finisher here tonight is going to go to the number 29 of Courtney Nelson. Courtney, a heck of a run. We finally got to see the 29 get up to the front and stay up at the front, but it was not easy here tonight. Quite a few cautions out there. And, I mean, this track is, like I just said to Jimmy, I almost feel like it's got too much grip in it. And it's really kind of a detriment to some of the drivers out there. You guys had a good run to start with, but it can get pretty sketchy out there pretty quick.
Yeah, if you got pushing too hard, it get the car really uncomfortable, right? All of a sudden you have a ton of grip and then it's all gone.
Well, you had your car up there at the end, battling for the win, and a couple times you restarted on the outside in second place, and then last time you restarted on the inside. Was there a preference on the restart there, or were you kind of damned either way with that 5 on these restarts?
I was happier on the bottom. I like running the bottom. At any track, I don't like the middle top. So I was happier on the bottom. If there was an opening, I would have took it, but it's so tight when we're double wide on like a green white checker. If you're going to send it, you're going to send it 3 wide and there's not enough room. So I'll take the points.
Well, it was certainly a good run here for you tonight. Top finishing, gold driver, and you get yourself a podium here as well. So before we let you go and get out of here, who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Appreciate you guys for having me. My teammate James, he hasn't had the luck lately, but he'll get there. Thanks again. Appreciate it. Have a good night.
All right, you too, buddy. That is your third place finisher here tonight. The 29 of Courtney Nelson. We don't have, it looks like we do have Danny Ware. So second place finisher here tonight is going to go to the 35 of Danny Ware.
Danny, long time no talk to. Jimmy Carl in the booth. Do you copy, buddy?
I got you guys.
Hey, welcome back to the booth here at CRN, and rough race out there tonight. You guys had all kinds of obstacles kind of thrown at you. Early cautions after the first pit stop, had to make your way through the field, getting tangled up a little bit here and there, but ultimately at the end, the 35 is able to finish in that second place. So I want to say congratulations, but what's your side of the story? Let us know how it was out there tonight.
Well, I don't even know how I got to second place. I probably shouldn't even have been there off the get-go. Off the first pit cycle, all of us Elwood guys got trapped a lap down, so we had to take the free pass, go around. Then later on, I ended up getting in the back of Tommy and wrecked half the field, and had to go take a fast repair and start from the back again. And I don't know, just by luck, just made my way up front and just somehow finished where I finished.
A little bit of luck never hurts anybody, especially when it comes to racing and then getting them points for a championship. Obviously, each track comes with its challenges. Tonight, high speed, not as wide as Talladega, but just as, or Talladega or Daytona, but just as fast. What was like some of your, I guess, your goals or strategies that you wanted to execute to possibly, obviously you finished here in second, but that you were wanting to execute, and were you able to execute those here tonight in order to get the great finishers? Like you said, I know you talked a little bit about luck, but did any of your strategy come into play here tonight?
Not really. My goal really was to get with Alan and AJ and just help them get the lead and just kind of control from there. But all race, I was just struggling up to get to them. There'd always be like a car between us, or I'd just be way mired back. But eventually I got up there and I didn't even work with Alan. I tried to pass him for the win. So I guess it was just basically try to finish the race with the team, and we kind of did that at the end.
Yeah, you definitely got a good 1-2 finish here between you and Alan. AJ was back there in 8th. So, I mean, you guys did a fantastic job kind of getting up there. Obviously, things happen. We all know that. But either way, the 35 walks away here tonight in P number 2. So we want to say congratulations and give you the opportunity for any shout-outs you might have in that number 35.
I'd like to, first of all, thank my fiance for letting me do this stuff on Tuesdays and taking time away from her. I'd like to thank Alan and Ella Designs Esports for making a great team for all of us to drive for. I'd like to thank Simrat Market. I'd like to thank Roderick Racing Development. I'd like to thank you guys for broadcasting this and all the admins that help out with the Discord and the races and everything. Make this place great.
I really appreciate the shout outs, man. Again, congratulations on that second place finish. But this time we'll let you go celebrate this one with your friends and family.
Thank you guys.
Yes, sir.
Is your second place finisher here tonight, the 35 of Danny Ware, and not sure about the team there. Maybe that's why he didn't have the horsepower to get to the front. But the only teammate for I gotta check here now before I say that and say that wrong. But no, actually, never mind. All three of the other Samurai Market drivers in different cars is Alan Elwood in the Chevy, Danny Ware in the Toyota, and AJ Roderick in the Ford. So I guess Chevy Power here tonight got it done one way or another. And your winner here for the third straight week is going to be the 5 of Alan Elwood. Alan just kind of joking around here with Jimmy and looking. I'm like, oh, Danny Ware's not in the right manufacturer. He's in the Toyota. But then I look and AJ Roderick's in the Ford. So you guys are just a mixed bunch. And I guess if there's a fourth one out there,
to be able to wrap any
it
car.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter.
Carl.
Yeah, exactly. So talk to me about the race here. I mean, you definitely up there at the front, worked up there with AJ Roderick for quite some time, and then the first caution comes out right in the middle of the pit stops, and I'm sure at that point you were thinking, well, here we go again. Now I got to work my ass off to get back to the front.
Yeah, that it didn't come at the right time, that's for sure. But that's maybe the hardest pit road that people are going to encounter all season. Is you don't have to slow down right there coming into 3, but you got to stay below that white line or you get a penalty. So I wasn't shocked that some sort of incident happened there. So needless to say, yeah, it didn't come at the right time, but I felt like we played our cards right and pick and chose which lines were kind of moving, and also trying to kind of be mindful of fuel, things of that nature, and also our tires. I felt like people underestimated the tire wear tonight. Knowing from previous races here and having taken no tires and 2 tires during pit stops, 4 tires really is the only way to go, in my opinion, at this track, unless you've only ran a couple laps. So we took 4 every time and made sure that we had the freshest tires, and like I said, pick and chose where we wanted to go on the track, and sometimes you got to be aggressive too. Some people were kind of being lax with not holding their line at the bottom, and if I saw you kind of drifting up toward the middle of the track, I'm taking advantage of it. Like I'm it's tough to defend as is. So
yes.
I don't want to be having the person out in front of me watching them drift up the track and then somebody take me low. So
yep, because you're following them. Yep, understandable. And yeah, I mean, it's this is probably I can't think of any other track that you guys would go to, or even on the road side of it, where you have this long of a pit road entry. And I gotta imagine that, had this been a race that went green the entire way, I would love to see how everything played out in the pit road, because I feel like there's so much time that could be gained or lost on this pit road entry, because it's I mean, damn near half the track just coming into the pits. But either way, at least we got half of a green flag pit stop out of you drivers out there. But I mean, ultimately, it's I said to Jimmy, I feel like this track is almost ruined because it has now too much grip, and it gives drivers a sense of comfortability when there really shouldn't be, because this is still a tight track.
Yeah, it really is. And I want to see iRacing, if there's some way they could implement what the track is now, even a couple years probably after this thing was done up and scanned or what have you. The track in real life, as you guys have probably seen, it has lost so much grip. And those Xfinity guys, those Cup guys really start getting loose and trying to find the grip around the track. Whereas this place here, it's just bottom. There was no top, which was really disappointing. I think it could have put on a really, really good show had we actually had at least 2 lines, if not 3, to work with. But for whatever reason, it just, like, you have to be at the bottom, and that's really unfortunate because it just eliminates being able to make moves. So that's where the tires kind of come into play a little bit. But yeah, just if they could do something to help the track a little bit, I think that'd be great and put on that much better of a show for sure.
Well, you mentioned tires, but I think the other thing that we were wondering in the booth for sure, with you guys going 2 extra green-white checkers here tonight and going 5 laps longer, any issues with fuel here tonight? I know it was a talking point certainly last week. Was there any issues here tonight?
Not at the end. At least for me, I was saving pretty hard just because it kind of felt like we were going to go green-white checkered at least once. So every caution that we were getting there toward the end, I was clutching and saving. And I had plenty of laps. I could have probably done a couple more green-whites had we had to. So I don't know about everybody else, but at least for me, it wasn't too bad. But if we had gone green the whole time, I think we would have kind of been iffy because AJ being out front and burning all that fuel, he was like a lap shorter than me. And right when we pitted, he only had like a lap left. So I don't know how the math would have worked on that had we continued to run that way. But under cautions, it wasn't too much of a big deal.
Well, I was kind of wondering why you guys were the first ones to kind of enter pit road. They're the first group from the front to enter pit road, and it's not something we typically see from you. But now it makes sense. You just blame AJ. It was AJ's fault that you guys had to come in early.
Exactly.
So now it makes perfect sense. Makes perfect sense.
He got so giddy being out front, he was just full throttle.
Yep. That sounds about right. Well, either way, he helped you get some time there at the front, and you would like to figure into it here at the end, I'm sure. But you get yourself your third win now in a row, winning Kentucky, Daytona, and here at Echo Park, and your fifth win on the season with Michigan and New Hampshire under your belt as well. Now we head to COTA next week, and I know it's one that you're probably not exactly looking forward to, but I'd like to see what the 5 can do here on the road track as well.
Yeah. I think seeing how my last road race went at Watkins Glen, I think I can stack up decently well with some of these guys. I really look at a couple of these road ringers that are in here that are probably going to be really tough to beat. They're probably going to lay down some consistent quick laps. And that's more so than Watkins Glen. Watkins Glen's kind of like it's a speedway of a road course, where COTA is so technical. There's so many places where you can overshoot the corner and drive it deep and stuff like that, and burn up your rears if you get on the gas too hard. So looking forward to the challenge. It's going to be nice to turn right for once and see what we got and see if we can stack up with those guys.
Once again, congrats on your 5th win on the season, and the redemption tour is fully. It's getting a little sad for the rest of the drivers here. How much you're putting a beat down on them, but I know you're not exactly.
A bounty on me, apparently.
I mean, listen, you're not exactly walking away with these wins. They're making it easy on you. You haven't had one where it's just been a clear cut, Alan Elwood type of win where you're walking away 2, 3, 4 seconds in front of everybody. Every one of these, they're making it work for it at least. So, congrats again on the win here tonight. Who do you want to give a shout out to or thanks to?
Yeah, of course, Simrat Market, Performance Powder Coating, Rider Racing Development, you guys up here in the booth, everybody watching, appreciate y'all tuning in, our sponsors and everybody that makes it happen here at the league, appreciate y'all and everything that you do for us, and just shout out to all the guys in the front tonight. Had a really fun race with Chad and Courtney and Kevin and anybody else who was up there at the end. Especially, it was a lot of fun trying to hold those guys off, and definitely put on a heck of a show. Hope everybody enjoyed it.
It was definitely fun for us watching up here as well. So once again, congratulations. We'll see you next week at COTA and see how well you can turn right.
This sounds good, guys.
That is your winner again here tonight, the 5 of Alan Elwood, getting it done here. We got a couple more interviews we're going to get to, and the first one we're going to get to is our top finishing silver driver, getting a top 10 himself, and that's going to be the 4 of Dalton Drummond's.
Dalton, Jimmy Carl in the booth, you copy?
I copy.
Yeah, well, congratulations on your win over the silver division here tonight at Atlanta, or better known as Echo Park these days. Just wanted to recognize your finish, but want to kind of run down on how your race was out there tonight.
It was a little chaotic at the end. Try to stay out as much as possible tonight. So that's why lap 1 on the backstretch I just got off. Just want to let everyone drive on by, keep it in the back. Got a little too back there and lost the front pack. Luckily, that caution came out just at the right time when pits were starting to go down, and fell in that category where I was a lap down, but got the way around. So we'll take that. Got back in there and just slowly made my way up towards the last 20 laps. Got a few of those wrecks at the end, barely saved on the final lap, and it was a good one.
Yeah, definitely a good one out there for you here tonight, but I want to talk a little bit about pit road entry here tonight. Definitely a unique one coming in there, entry of 3. What was the challenges tonight, and how much did you practice?
I practiced twice. coming to pit road. That was right before. So, no, a little bit different from what we've seen, like Daytona or, the plate tracks. So a little bit different, but, the biggest thing was just trying to keep your speed, but not too much where you drifted back up into the lane and cause yourself, a penalty. So that was the biggest thing, and just getting low down at the line worked out surprisingly. No penalties, no black flags. So, a win is a win.
Definitely got the safety thing nailed down here tonight, and obviously maybe some time in the future, maybe even be able to learn how to take it even quicker, make up some positions more easily, as it seemed to be a challenge for some drivers tonight. But next week you head off to a road course. So how are you feeling about turning a little bit of right-hand turns next week?
We'll see with how practice goes this week and next Monday, and just take it day by day, because mathematically that is not my best track. So we'll see what we can do, and go from there.
That math ain't math.
So the odds are saying he's the math ain't math. Either way, man, I hope and wish you the best next week, as it is a challenging thing to take these heavy cars with all that weight and horsepower to get around a track that goes left and right. That's not really made for that, but wish you the best of luck on that. But right now, we're going to go ahead and just want to congratulate you on your win here over the Silver Division, and give you some time for any challenges you might have in that number 4.
Hey, just thank you guys for making this happen. It's been fun. Glad I'm back in this league, and see you guys next week.
Definitely look forward to seeing you next week, and we'll let you go celebrate this one with your friends and family.
Right. Later.
Yes, sir.
Is top 10 finisher and top spot here in the Silver Division, the 4 of Dalton Drummond's. Final interview we're going to get to here tonight is going to be the driver of the 16, John Crane, and he's going to come home with a 14th place finish, up 21 spots from his start. So he ends up not only winning the bronze division, but the hard charger here for tonight as well. And John, I got to say, we were keeping an eye on you a couple times, because there was a couple incidents that happened, especially one that happened down there in turn 1, and we've seen you have to make a late move really sharp to the inside, and you just missed it. And unfortunately for Dan Phelps, he didn't see that you were going to make that move, and he absolutely clobbered the car that was spinning sideways. But it was some good wreck avoidance by you here tonight, especially at the end, and gets you the top spot here in the bronze.
Thank you. I felt bad for getting into David there at the end, coming to the white though.
Yeah, I think there was a lot of incidents here tonight, and it's a tough track. I mean, it's a shame, because it used to be such a good track, and I feel like now that it's kind of a super speedway, it's fun that it is like that. And you guys had a good run to start with. You made it all the way to the first green flag pit stops there, but it can so quickly go wrong. And at least at a track like Talladega Daytona, it's banked enough that some of the incidents can wash away before some of the other cars get in there. I mean, you certainly can't have the big ones there, but you had some big ones here at Echo Park.
Yeah, we did. It was fun though. It was a great time.
Well, either way, it was a good finish for you, and like I said, a heck of a comeback, starting nearly at the back of the field here tonight and finishing up in the top 15. So congrats on the run here. Who do you want to give a shout-out to or thanks to?
I just shout out to my friends and family. Thank you for tuning in the CORE Network.
All right, buddy. We'll let you get out of here, and we'll see you next week at COTA.
Thank you. You guys have a great night.
You too, buddy.
You too.
That is driver of the 16, John Crane, as he's your top spot here in the bronze division. Once again, I want to thank everyone out there for tuning in. Hit that like, subscribe. It gets you in touch with everything we have to offer. As we got the doubleheader coming up tomorrow night with the penultimate round for CSRL as they head to VIR. And then right after that, we're going to have the Pit Road Speed Limit Racing Series, as they are going to be heading to, I had to double check here, they're going to be heading to a Charlotte Motor Speedway. And then on Thursday night, we'll have another race right back here at Echo Park. We'll see how the Virtual Velocity Racing Xfinity Series does at Echo Park. But for myself and Jimmy here from Atlanta, we'll see you at the track.
Peace.